Stay tuned for a little discussion about self-care, the self-care industry, how to take care of yourself in a really busy schedule and life, and what kind of things we're up to take care of ourselves. I'm Harrison.
And I'm Ameer, and we believe that one of life's most valuable assets is the gift of conversation.
In the midst of life, sometimes we forget the true power of a deep, meaningful conversation.
So take a breath, come join us,
and let's talk about life. So we've talked about a lot of things on the podcast, a lot of different things that always seem to go back to the similar kind of themes, similar values and topics, because I think a lot of it's connected. But we've never specifically talked about self-care. We talked about routines recently, but self-care is, I think, a whole different thing. And there's also kind of this, it's almost like a trendy thing, right? If you know what I mean by that. And I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying. And we're both feeling maybe not 100% today, especially you. Ameer's been traveling around. And I think we should talk about self-care. So Ameer, what does self-care mean to you? When I say that, what does it look like in your life and what does it mean to you? And we'll start there.
Wow, that's a great question. I think self-care, first off, is something that I need right now. As Harrison's been mentioning, I have been traveling all over the East Coast, driving hours on hours every day.
A lot of hours.
Yeah, on hours. Yeah, exactly. And I didn't realize how tired and how like exhausted I was until last night. I was just folding some clothes. I decided to just lay down on the bed beside my folded clothes, just to close my eyes really quick. Just I don't know. The bed was calling my name. Suddenly I wake up and then it's 1 p.m. I slept for like 13 hours. It was ridiculous. So. Yeah, exactly. And I think that kind of ties into my definition of self-care. I think self-care is giving your body what it needs most in the present moment.
Interesting. I like that.
Yeah. And so for myself, at that moment, it was sleep, and at other times, I think probably later today, it's going to be nutrition, and at other times it might be a meditation. I think it's all about listening to your body and just being present within that and giving yourself what you need at that time. I think that's what that looks like for me. What do you think?
Interesting. Yeah, I think that's a really good way to describe it. Because I don't really know how I describe it, because when I hear that, my connotation, like what I associate with those words, self-care, is like a massage, a spa day, like a bubble bath, a nice relaxing evening with someone, or you're by yourself, there's candles, like that, kind of like the romanticized version of self-care. But I don't do that. Those things are not a part of my daily life and routine. So then I don't really align with that. It makes me go, well, maybe I don't practice self-care, if that's what I think, but I'm not actually doing those things. So I think what you said is a good way to describe it, and I would align with that like it's doing what your body needs, and it's not an easy thing. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, and you bring up an interesting point kind of about the trendiness of the word self-care, and kind of the interesting industry that has built up around it, the self-care industry. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, let's unpack this, because like I don't want to come across the wrong way and be like, oh, Harrison thinks self-care is bad and it shouldn't be talked about. It's like, absolutely not. Like, I'm so happy that is something, and like mental health and self-care and personal growth, and these things are like popular in the media nowadays, and amongst, I'd say, our generation and maybe millennials and whatever. I don't know everybody, but it's more popular to talk about. However, this is a blanket statement, trends on the internet comes like people kind of hopping on the bandwagon just because everybody's doing it and they're talking about it really at a surface level. And I think that's maybe where the challenge comes in for me, where it's like, it's easy to say, yes, practice self-care and do it. It's like, yeah, but what does this look like for people? How do you implement this if you're very, very busy and doing lots of things? And why are we not talking about how challenging it is to practice self-care? And all of these little intricacies of it. And I think that's why I think we need more conversations like this, where it's like it's self-care is many different things. Like I said, I think about it, and like maybe the reason I think about it like that in that way, this kind of romanticized version, is because that's what is often talked about. It's those types of things. Um, I'm not really sure. Like, I think it can be pushed also in the wrong way, where it's like, you need to allow yourself to have a cheat day or something and have some chocolate and have like do this. And it's like, well, there's also a balance here, right? And that's where
Mm-hmm.
my, I guess, challenge comes in with this whole thing. What do you think about it and what comes to mind? And you said
Once again,
self-care
like,
industry, which is really interesting.
mm-hmm,
So what do you mean by
mm-hmm.
that? And why do you say that?
Yeah, totally. I think self-care industry, when I'm referring to that, yeah, I'm referring to, there's a lot of things that fall underneath that. And first of all, let me clarify, I'm not saying that these are bad things. I have so many quote self-care products that help me, like
Yeah.
candles around me, skincare products. I'd say skincare is self-care.
Mm-hmm.
You know, lots of skincare products and um all that kind of stuff. But I think it's important to remember that we can also get self-care for free, and I think it's important to remember that we can also get
Mm.
self-care for free, and oftentimes the best self-care is free.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
best things in life are free, like sunlight, water, air, unless you live in the Lorax, air, and all
Sleep.
these different things. Yeah, sleep,
Mm.
exactly, are available to us for free. And I think it's important that we remember that we don't necessarily need to spend $50 on a new um you know red blue light frequency canceling
Mm-hmm.
window
Mm-hmm.
shade that plays nature sounds in order
Mm-hmm.
to find something that is truly restorative and
Mm-hmm.
meaningful you
Yeah.
know
Yeah. I know what you mean now. I immediately went like social media route when you said the self-care industry, but you're
Mm.
talking like a physical,
Oh
like
yeah, like
consumerist
physical, like products,
products. Yeah, yeah,
consumerisms, exactly. And I
yeah,
think
yeah.
it's important that we remember that once again, the best self-care is free, because it like a thing that we don't talk about when it comes to these self-care products and everything is kind of how it feeds into how it can feed into environmental issues, and all
Mm-hmm,
the stuff that
mm-hmm,
comes along with
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
consumerism, right? I
Right,
think it's
right,
just
right, right.
important to remember and acknowledge that.
Yeah, you know, when you mentioned like blue light stuff, because I've done that. I've
Mhm. Oh
got
yeah,
all the
same, of course.
glasses and everything.
I'm
But
only making fun of myself here, y'all.
yeah, for sure. But what the my I don't want to say challenge, but the thing that I maybe my pushback with this, and yeah, it's a challenge. I guess it's a challenge personally with self care and the discussion around self care is like the middle ground, the kind of best of both worlds. Because you and I very extreme, people. We're gonna go full into whatever it is. He's like looking around. That's not me. Uh, I don't know what your experience is with this, but I know for myself personally that it's been like, especially in the world of health and all that kind of stuff. It's just like it's so easy to go, okay, yes, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta like now there's like
Mm,
15 things. And if I don't do
mhm,
all those 15 things, it doesn't count. So that's something I'm trying to think about. And it's not been easy and I'm not really still good at it. I don't know if I'll ever be good at it, but like not trying to be so extreme about it. And it's like anything counts. And it doesn't have to
mhm,
be consistent for it to work, because I don't nap regularly. But like 2 days ago, I felt like absolute crap and I laid down and I had a nap. And it's like sometimes people are like, oh, yes, you have a nap. If you're not feeling good, like nap more or whatever. So as soon as I do one thing, I'm like, well, this works for me. I got to do it more. But it's like exactly what you said. It's what your body needs now. And,
mhm,
uh, and that's there's that, but then there's also like, you don't have to you don't have to have red light or like blue light blocking glasses or whatever. You don't even have to have the bulbs. I've got bulbs that change color and they go red at nighttime, right? I've got all these things. You don't even have to do that. You got a lamp, turn off the overhead lights at nighttime, turn on the lamps so lights lower, pick a warmer bulb. That works. That's a version of it. It doesn't have to be extreme. And that's something that I'm trying to think about and like, to better myself, because it's so easy to feel like if you're not doing all of the things, it doesn't count.
mm,
But if you're not doing all the things and you just still do one thing and it's towards bettering yourself and making yourself feel better, it still counts. And that's a reminder to myself as much as it is to everybody else.
mhm. Yeah, I completely agree. And I think an important, like what I'm thinking about right now when it comes to like the conversation around self-care and everything, I think it's important that we also don't overcomplicate things. Like, once again,
Mm,
like the first thing I said, like, keep it simple. Like, it's what your body needs right now, and only you know your body as well as you. Only you know your body best,
right.
right? And so that's just self awareness. So,
Mm,
like, do whatever you feel will be right for you, trial and error.
mm-hmm,
And I think kind of we all intuitively understand that. I think, yeah, I think we all intuitively understand that. What do you think are some of the actually no. Here's what I think about. Making time for that,
mm,
right? It's often hard when you have a busy schedule, when you have a lot
mm,
going on. It's so easy to hear that. It's so easy to talk about self care, but in terms of the practical implementation of it,
mm,
and in terms of actually making time for this kind of stuff, like I think kind of our entire conversation around self care, and I'm not talking about between the two of us, but online and everything,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
is kind of predicated upon the assumption that everyone has time. But no, some people have 5 kids, 2 jobs, they're juggling everything. And, how can we approach this conversation while acknowledging the privilege of being able to choose what we do with our time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, this is the challenge with it, right? Because, well, you know what? It's what you said. It needs to be simplified because, yes, ideally, you're not sitting at a desk for 8 hours a day. Ideally, right? You're walking around, you're able to move your body. Okay, but that's not the situation. Let's say you work. I mean, we both work at computers. The most of the world works at a computer.
Mhm.
As much as you maybe don't want that to be the case, you can either drastically change it or you continue with what you're doing. So instead of trying to focus on that, it's like, okay, can I get up and walk around the room once every hour or something? You know, when I have my coffee break, instead of just staying inside under this light, not getting fresher, can I go for a walk outside? Oh, I can't go for a walk. I don't have time. Can I step outside and see the sun?
Mm.
Like, simple, minimal things, is
Mm.
like, what is better than the alternative? Is there a very simple thing? It's like, as you could sit inside, you could take your break, um, and if you can't get outside, then at least look away from the screen, look out the window. It's like, I think it can always be broken down, and that's probably the easiest way to try to implement it into a busy schedule or life, or when you feel like you don't have time, because you know, everybody, if you're not working by a window, you probably can have access to a window. You can go look outside and give your eyes a rest for 30 seconds, right? Exactly. He's doing it right now. I love it. It's
I'm
great.
doing it now.
Um,
Self-care, baby.
you
Woo.
know, and then that actually makes, I don't have the stat, but a friend of mine, they were on here a long time ago, Marissa and Andrew with Natural Academy, and they're naturopathic doctors, and they put out stuff about this, and they're like, that I don't know what it is, but it makes a huge difference. Like, just literally looking outside a window away from your screen and focusing on something far away
Mhm.
for like 30 seconds makes a huge
Yeah.
difference for your eyes,
Yep.
right?
Totally.
So simple things like that. And that's what I would say. And again, like, if I'm trying to think about how do I practice self-care amongst the busyness of life, and I don't call it that. I wouldn't call it that, but those are things I try to do.
Mhm.
I try to step outside if I'm gonna have a go to the bathroom or something, and I go for a walk, and I try to like step out onto the balcony. I can't even go all the way for a walk, but I'm gonna go breathe in some fresh air. In the middle of winter, I was feeling like it's stale in here. I would literally push my face up to the screen and just breathe in the fresh air outside. It's like, whatever you can do,
Mhm.
you know, it doesn't have to be like this big dramatic thing. What do you think about that? What would your answer be?
Yeah, first of all, like the thing that you talk about looking out the window, that's legitimately something I practice. It's called the 20-20-20 rule.
There it is. He
And
knows.
I forget, it's like an actual thing. I think it's from like some optometrist association or
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
something,
mm-hmm.
with the eyes. Basically, the 20-20-20 rule says that every 20 minutes, look at something 20 meters away for 20 seconds.
Yeah, there it is. That's it. That's what I was talking about. Mm-hmm.
And it's very simple. I'm literally doing it right now, and it's fantastic. The clouds look nice. So that's the first thing that I think of. Um, the what was the question you were asking me again?
Well, no, you just asked me like, how do you with a busy life, in busy
Oh yeah,
schedule,
totally.
do it?
Mhm.
What do you think, or and how do
I
you
completely
implement
disagree
it?
with what you said.
Yeah.
Like I think, um, like being kind to oneself, and as you said, like it doesn't need to be some huge dramatic thing. Like even if it's something small, give yourself that win. That's a
Mm.
that's a W right there. Like
That's important though. What you just
mhm.
said is give yourself that win, because I don't do that. It's
Yeah,
like
neither do I.
it's not good enough for me. It's like, oh, it wasn't a bubble bath with candles, therefore it doesn't count,
Mhm.
right? But that's
Yep.
important. I think what you just said that, yeah.
Totally. Totally. Yeah, I think that applies to everything in life, just give yourself the win.
Mm,
Even like you do the best that you can. That's the fourth agreement out of the four agreements. If you've ever read that book, highly recommend it. Spoiling it for you, the fourth agreement: do your best in every situation. And I think it's important to acknowledge that from day to day, your best can change. On days when you're feeling
mm,
on top of the world, your best is this. On days when you just came back from traveling and you slept 13 hours the night before and you feel like a potato, your best is something else, right? And I think if you are if you are consciously choosing to do your best in any circumstance, then that kind of eliminates self-judgment. Because like right now, even though like I will be real, y'all listening and everything, I feel like a total potato chip right now,
mhm.
right? I feel like I've been deep fried and oh gosh, I'm
Good
hungry.
looking
Anyways,
potato chip, might I add.
thank you, bro. Thanks, man. But yeah, I'm just doing my best. I'm doing my
Mm,
best right now. That mitigates the self judgment for the most part.
yeah,
That's what I think of. Um, what are some of your favorite self care practices that we can share with the people
right.
to help them out?
Big walk guy. Big walk
Uh,
guy.
Same.
um,
Harrison and I like going for long
on the
walks at the beach together at
Yeah,
sunset.
we just FaceTime each other and pretend to hold hands.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, Maria and Annie.
Okay, side note for you listening, our girlfriends, I had talked to his girlfriend Annie yesterday, and she's like she's got this hunch, it's like a joke that we're like, secretly together outside of them. And I was like, I don't know,
The
I'm
bromance.
not gonna disagree. I'm not gonna say it's not true. Anyway, yeah, walks. Walks is a big one.
Mhm.
And I've tried to like view them differently, because it used to be like, if I don't exercise, like if I'm not going to the gym lifting weights and like fully sweating, it's not working out. Same deal. It's like it's not enough. But I've been trying to view it as, and there's a lot of research around how great walking is for you, right? So it's just like I'm trying to
Totally.
view it when I go, I'm like, that counts. That counts. Even though it wasn't, powerlifting or whatever, like it still is benefiting me. Exactly. So walks, big one. Recently, a nice shower. I've been enjoying the showers.
Finally showering, guys. He's finally showering.
Used to stink. Now I'm clean. No, it's actually terrible because I don't shower enough. Like I don't. Some people shower a lot, and I don't, and I feel like fine about it. But my family's always like, well, you just like shower. When was the last time you showered? I was like, I don't know, 2 days ago. And they're like, God, you got to do. But like the intentional time of not just I'm going in to clean myself. It's like we have a nice window like on our apartment. It faces the sun in the morning, so you get the morning sun in the shower. Sometimes I toss some music on. I'm like, it's great, love it. So it's just a simple thing I try to enjoy. What else? I don't know how many things you want here. um just like setting nice lighting during the day or evening,
Mm,
like just having that. Look, you can't see the rest of my room, but I've got some certain lights set up, candles, whatever. Quickly toss it on, trying to just be intentional when I cook. I love cooking, and
mm,
I rewatching Friends. I put on Friends and I cook. Love it. Those are things recently that I've been doing. It's been great. It's been awesome.
mhm.
And they're
Give me
simple.
one more for number
Oh, we got to go
5.
for number 5.
Number 5. Give me one
Yeah,
more.
I honestly, I'm not like a huge just sit down and watch TV like all the time. If I get into a series, I'll be into it. But recently, it's been like finding intentional, and I've been calling it like art. Like pieces of art, film, even YouTube videos. Obviously, I love Yes Theory, talk about it all the time. But like somebody like
Mhm.
Nathaniel Drew, where it's like, and that's not just a
Oh,
YouTube video. That's a piece of art.
Nathaniel Drew
Consuming
is
that,
art.
but intentionally. Like I sit down. Like when I watch the Yes
Yeah.
Theory videos, it's not like it's on in the background. It's like I am sit down,
Mhm.
focused on what they're doing, and I just feel so inspired and like
Mhm.
great after. And that's been the other one. So watching like
Mhm.
intentionally watching high quality art. How's that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's great. Oh, Nathaniel Drew's videos are so good. Ugh.
How about you? You got 5? I did 5.
Blows
You
my
got to
mind.
do 5 now.
Yes, of course. Yeah, exactly. So my number one self care thing. I mean, I'm just the same as you. I love walks.
Big walk guy.
So yeah, yeah. My self care thing number one. Number one, walks.
Mm,
Number two, meditating.
mm.
I count that for me as self care.
Yeah, I didn't put that in
It's
there,
kind
but
of
that's
like
just like base level. Like I always do
Mhm.
that. So
Yeah,
that's in
totally.
there. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one for me. Number 3, sitting down, surrounded by plants, and sipping a nice cup of tea.
Okay, Heinz.
Heinz style. It's a vibe ting,
Yeah.
you know? So, yeah, so sitting down drinking tea. Number 4, reading. I recently just got a Kindle. Recently just got a Kindle, and
Okay.
honestly, it has changed the game for me
Yeah.
just because I left so many books back home. So, yeah, I've been reading a lot more
Mm,
ever since I got the
mm-hmm,
Kindle just because
mm-hmm.
you have all the books ever at your fingertips. You can just, like, download it from Amazon. Boom, you're done, you know?
Yeah.
So I count that as self-care for myself.
Yeah.
And lastly, I'm not sure if this counts as self-care, but I've been stretching a lot,
It
like
counts.
working on my
Yeah.
mobility.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
been
Big
working on my
time.
mobility a lot. So trying to do hip stretches, ankle stretches, just to like get better at my squat and stuff, and even like shoulder stuff as well, just to like, go through like, yeah, just to eat. You get what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Just
No, that
to
is
fix things
totally,
up.
totally.
Yeah, just to fix things up. I've been foam rolling as well, and I think that kind of just like that directly is self care because it helps with my recovery from
Yeah.
like workouts
Yeah.
and stuff. So yeah, that's my list
Yeah. And see,
right there.
they're not big things for
Hmm.
either of us, really, like huge things, but they can make a big difference.
Hmm.
I think taking inventory like that is really helpful. I haven't really done that. It's like, what am I doing in
Yeah.
my life? I would say, like, even climbing. I told you we've been going climbing a lot. Like, that's been
Hmm.
fun. Doing new things for myself. Making a latte every day.
I see
That's,
that.
I mean, I love that. That's awesome. It's the
Hmm.
best part of my day.
Hmm.
Um, but like, I've been learning a new language. I've been learning Spanish. Just had a lesson this afternoon. I don't know
Oh.
if I ever told you that. It's been happening for
Mm.
like a couple months.
Puedo
Um,
ir al baño, por favor. That's the only thing I know. Thank you, Spanish
Thank
class, high
you.
school.
So like challenging myself to learn something new and immersing myself in that like world has been really like all of these things I think have one thing in common. It's like presence or
Mm,
intent. You
mhm.
know what I mean? It's like even looking at your window for 20 seconds. It's you have into he's doing it again.
Every time you say it, I just look out the
I
window.
know.
Come on, I'm like standing right by a window. If you say look out the window, I'm like, must look.
It has intent behind it because it's like
Mhm,
you're choosing to do that thing. So whatever, like that in itself, if you know it's good for you, even as it's really small, I think it's a form of self care.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. Um, while you were saying that, here's one thing that I thought about, and I've wanted to make a YouTube video about this for a long while, and it's such a simple premise, such a simple topic, but legitimately, I don't know how to answer it. And
Mm.
well, I've been trying to figure out how to answer it, and it is how to take a break.
Mm.
How to
Great.
take a break for those of us who feel guilty for taking breaks,
Yeah, I got a
right?
lot to.
Because I can very much say for myself that, you know, I I mean, if you asked me like a few months ago, I would feel bad for sleeping 13 hours like I did last night, but
Mm-hmm.
today I don't because I know I needed it. But before I'd be like, "Oh man, I feel guilty for that." Okay, I need to rest, but how do I actually rest? So then I'm like, "Okay, you know what? Today is going to be my day off. I will take this day off. I won't schedule anything. It's going to be completely free. It's just an Amir day." But I find interestingly enough, and it's weird, those days where I have nothing scheduled for myself are anything but replenishing for me.
Nah. Yep.
Like when I have nothing scheduled that day, when I don't have anything set up, I feel drained the next day. I'm like, wait, then am I doing self care wrong? Oh gosh, what am I doing
Mm.
wrong? And then I'm like, okay, sure, let me plan out my breaks and I feel a lot better. But then, like, I remember I was having a conversation with a friend of mine from back home, and I was telling him, yeah, I schedule out my breaks. I like kind of like have a calendar. He's like, "What, dude? You need to let yourself like take an actual break. Like, don't plan it. Just like, chill." But I don't know. I find that for me, at least, and I'm curious what you think. I need to actually plan out like breaks. Like, if I have a day
Mm-hmm.
off, I need to plan it out,
Mm.
which seems counterintuitive, which seems like, wait, aren't you just working then? It's like, okay, I will schedule taking a break. I will take a break from 2 to 4, and then I'll get a massage from 4 to 6. That's a
Right.
long massage from 4 to 5. I find that that's what works for me,
Mm.
but I also can see how it wouldn't work for other people. What do you think?
Yeah, how to take a break, hey? I don't schedule them like you do, but I think in my brain I do. I'm like, I'm gonna this time, let's say like tonight, um, where we're going climbing after this, and I'm gonna call that like that's a break for me. That's like a
Mhm,
go and leisurely have fun, right? And I'm like, I know there's a period of time where I'm gonna do it. It's not in my calendar, it's in my brain, but I know it's gonna happen. And I know it's coming up because and if even if I'm home, I'm like tonight I'm gonna just do this or whatever, right? I'm gonna sit down and watch the Yes Theory video. And it's not in my calendar, but I know I'm not gonna do anything else. So I guess it's similar. However, I do enjoy Sundays. Sunday's one of my favorite days. Monday's my favorite day, but Sunday's up there. And why Sunday specifically? Because it's the end of the week and it's become a day for me that like it's not. I'm not going to church. I'm doing those kinds of things, but I don't try not to schedule stuff because I really enjoy letting the day just kind of flow and whatever happens happens. And I do enjoy that. And I guess I don't approach it from the sense where it's like I'm gonna rest all day, but I have like this vision of how it feels, and I try to keep that where it's like I'm not setting an alarm. I'm getting up, I'm gonna do whatever we want, and if it's 3 o'clock and we've just had lunch, and now I decide I want to go do something, then it's fine. Like there's no set schedule where I need to go, but if I lived my entire life like that, I couldn't do it. So
mhm.
having the one day is fine, but yeah, how to take a break though, because even at that this is something I struggle with. And it's like you're not really resting or like having downtime if you're feeling guilty about
Mm,
it,
yeah.
right? So like if you can't just like go and do nothing, quote unquote nothing, but that whole time you're like, dang, I should be working on this, I should be doing that. And like, I don't know if I
Mm,
should like it. Then it's counterintuitive. You should have just kept working.
mhm,
And that's my biggest problem because I don't just fully let go. Like it's really challenging because my mind is always so active creatively and just like there's so many ideas and things and I'm like I need more hours in the day is how I feel, right? Because I
mhm.
just love doing things. And so just to sit down and go, I'm going to spend the next couple hours doing blank. It's like that whole time I'm thinking about other stuff. So I don't know how to take a break, really. Like it's something I've been trying to think about. Do you feel that? Do you feel that? Does it
I
happen
feel
to you?
that massively, dude. I feel
Mm,
that massively. I think this is kind of what I'm thinking about, and I think what we can sum up our entire conversation with to close. I think it's important to understand we need to understand the difference between intentional rest and passive rest. Passive rest is we just sit down, we just allow ourselves to do whatever, go with the flow, you watch whatever comes on Netflix, take a nap if you want to, just be a potato the entire day.
Harrison
And that's
Sunday.
great. Right, exactly, right? And that's great. Have time for that if that's what replenishes you. But I find for myself that passive rest isn't necessarily replenishing for me. And what I personally need, and perhaps like maybe some other people out there, is intentional rest. And that's okay, I'm going to intentionally meditate, or I'm going to intentionally pay attention to what I'm cooking, or I'm going to intentionally sit down and watch a certain video, or
Mhm,
I'm going to intentionally
mhm.
sit down and listen to the best podcast on the internet. You know,
That's
that's
right.
us.
That's us, by the way.
Yeah, if you couldn't tell, right? But I think, our entire conversation when it comes to taking breaks, when it comes to self-care, I think it can be summed up in one word: intention,
Mhm,
right? If you are intentional with what, if you are intentionally doing that which replenishes you, great, that's a win.
mm,
Count it. That's self-care. Even if it's the smallest thing. If you are intentionally just looking out the window and just taking a deep breath, boom, that's a win,
mhm.
right? I think it's not necessarily the rest that is replenishing, but the intention that is.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Yeah, because all those things that really feed me and kind of I feel like they recharge
Mhm.
my energy and all of that is there's things that I go in with like a certain intention for sure.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. So,
Yeah.
anyways, my dear friends listening online, I hope
Mhm.
that you find the time to take care of yourself today. Go look out the window like I have been looking out this entire podcast. Take a breath, go for a walk, pay attention to what you're cooking. And as always, we'll see you next week.
Bye. If you enjoyed this episode and want to support the show, make sure to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Visit us on Instagram and TikTok at Let's Talk About Life Pod, and for more information, head on over to harrisonkingofficial.com/podcast. Now it's time for you to get out there and have a deep, meaningful conversation in your own life.